Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy night to join me. I really do appreciate it. I hope that y'all's Sunday was, good. You feel me? Better than this people's eyebrow I got going on over here. So I'm watching a video the other night, playback of me, right? And I noticed that for some reason, I look like The Rock from 1999. Shout out to all the people watching who weren't even born then, you feel me? But there used to be a time where Dwayne Johnson used to be named The Rock, and he was a taller, skinnier version of his 60-year-old best self. And during that time, he had this thing that he would do called the people's eyebrow, where he would, just raise one eyebrow like 4 inches, in contrasted with the other one, and it was just kind of his thing. He gave you the people's eyebrow. He was about to put the smack down. Oh my, I know way too many wrestling references. I feel like I've spent far too much of my time, especially when I was younger, watching wrestling. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. And in fact, tonight we're talking about office, siren, and dress codes. So just like, I want to talk about these things because link in the description below, this really cool creator that I found. She's super smart girl, super smart lady, super smart woman, whatever. For the record, I just feel when middle-aged people talk about males and females, we still have, kind of some time to call one another boys and girls, right? Just because, I'm not 40 yet, but I'm also not 20, so forgive the way that I speak. I'm just speaking. But regardless, I grew up in a public school. I didn't actually, wasn't raised in a public school, although my community might beg to differ. I'm a product of the community, wouldn't you know? Anyways, it takes a village, right? But, my community has been, phenomenal. Yeah, I grew up in the North Valley of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Went to a school called Valley High School, public school, very small school, very nice area for all intents and purposes, very privileged. But I say this because even at a public school, I attended one of, if not the only public school in all of Albuquerque to not have a dress code. And so anytime I think about my past and things that I've experienced and how it can or cannot relate to some things that are going on now, I always find myself in the lucky position of always being on that super left, progressive, liberal leaning side in a small public school that allowed for all of these things. It's not like dress codes weren't contemplated. Every single time a measure or a provision would be brought up to have dress codes at any of the feeder schools I even went to, so from elementary to middle school and then going into high school, there weren't any dress codes, It was the one cool thing that our Xer parents and boomer influence had in that little community. So I don't know what it's like to have a dress code, you feel me? I can't imagine what it would be like for somebody to tell you what you can or can't wear. Now, mind you, it's all within reason. I mean, our school wasn't completely lawless. There were, in fact, both young men and young women at the time that I was growing up who would challenge, the idea of there even needing to be some rando judging you so far as to what you had on your back, or whatever, your body, right? And so I was thinking it's kind of weird when people are forced to wear a certain thing, I mean, just because, the world is an entire stage and we're kind of all just performing anyway, so we have varying degrees of, what kind of costumes we have and so forth. And so I just always thought it would be weird. So my experience therein lies with the fact that I would be extremely bothered by any sort of dress code that wouldn't allow me to wear the things that I would want to wear. Now, moreover, this is something, link in the description below. So I gotta be the dude to admit, rightfully so, and just completely 100% honestly, that I can't imagine as a dude, anything like that I could wear to set off the office siren, which is what we're talking about now, right? Because they're kind of the same thing. Dress code, office siren, bunch of grown adults, typically working in office buildings, not wanting to tempt you. Now, again, what does that mean? I don't understand as civilized adults what that means. I feel like it couldn't be more misleading or like gaslighting or victim blaming, in that if somebody wears something to work that, is going to compromise your moral aptitude, and then I would highly recommend you maybe take some yoga. Hobby Lobby is always, open. Maybe grab some new hobbies or something. Maybe, like, try to focus on something other than the fact that you're a complete, adolescent, sentient human Homo sapien and can't, for lack of better words, keep it in your pants. I mean, can you imagine, going up to another grown adult at some sort of HR office and being like, listen, Larry, that dress Jennifer's got on today, it's bothering me, like, I'm not the one wearing it. I don't at all in any shape, way, or form, like, even come work, like, close to working next to this girl, but I see her in the hallway and where we share our, breaks and stuff, and it's bothering me because I'm distracted. Because that dress, obviously, like, the things that on the surface people don't say, but they insinuate and they want you to feel for that and, collectively agree on some sort of cringe feeling that Larry over here has for the girl in the office, the new girl wearing the dress, right, that gets called into HR just so that she can get scolded by another adult that tells them, or moreover, again, this is all stupid hetero male perspective, right? Like, I can't speak for anyone other than myself and, the representation of my group and so forth, but I can't imagine being told that I couldn't wear something because somebody else was distracted by that. Even when you say it out loud, doesn't it sound like infantile? Doesn't that sound like you should probably try and focus on anything other than, what people, especially namely women, are wearing to work? I think it's kind of weird. And the office siren trend, link in the description below, is a classic example of some of those very things. Obviously we've tied in dress code principles to kind of the adult working world. I've given you my experiences with not having any experience with having other human beings tell me what I can and can't wear. In that same regard, I also am very respectful or respectable to different industries or different venues where different costumes are needed and so forth. I just feel like the office siren trend is another classic example of some cringe Xer or boomer that is married and is not willing to run the risk of any sort of like SA in the workplace, when in fact you could just be a grown-up, not say anything. There's no need to compliment. That's the other thing, right, is when we dress our best, I feel like as long as safety's in mind, that's okay, right? You don't want to be a secretary, dude or girl, of any sexual identification, and dressed like you're ready to, set foot out of the hot tub from your first honeymoon down at the Bahamas, and you're gonna, make some love or whatever. I get it, right? Because those things aren't very safe, right? Like, safe, actually safe. So, if you're half naked and you're trying to do some job and you'll fall or something, you run the risk of harming yourself. Again, this is all self-care, self-impact things. Don't worry about what others are trying to think about, how you are going to, excel or not in that environment, and whether or not the way that you dress is appropriate for the environment, and moreover for you in that environment. What's safest for you, right? So, it's not traditional for older people to... it always blew my mind how all of the people that I thought were supposed to not be the creeps, like, you got a ring on your finger, why are you even looking, why do you care, But then moreover again, like, why do you care? Like, why do we care what people wear to work? Why does it matter? Why is the office siren something that, middle-aged and younger people are even debating? Do you know how stupid we sound right now? Just go back to being 20 again, right? And live in that world. The world that's a whole lot less full of paranoia and self-doubt and all of the terrible things that we learn through the next 20 years of our life, right? Go back to that time when you're 20 and things made a lot more sense, so far as it is like, hey, I can't imagine getting fired from my job because I wore a shirt that showed some cleavage, and now I'm feeling, some type of way. Now I'm supposed to feel some type of way because somebody else complained about me. I'm the one that's supposed to feel bad. I don't think that that's the way things work, I think if you're too worried about other people and what they got going on and how they're dressed, I think that's a pretty clear indication of you needing to strongly get a life. And this is coming from somebody who has no life, who's very publicly and shamelessly admitted to this fact, right? And so it's just like, just stop. Just stop complaining about what people wear to work. It just makes you look weird. Again, because I just couldn't imagine, like, being that person. I can't imagine. I would never do that. I couldn't go up to anybody, a superior, myself in charge or whatever, and just be like, hey, what you got on is not making me feel good. Because again, it just has nothing to do with me. And if I can't control myself, then what does that speak towards myself and my own behavior and thought process? And, let's not get all Freudian with it, but holy macaroni. There's more to life than sex, guys. I know that we don't often want to sometimes think about that, but take it from a single guy who hasn't had any in quite some time, that it's okay, you're not gonna, suffer an untimely, time where you're not alive anymore or whatever, just because that's all that I'm saying, right? I feel like if you're partnered up for too long, or if you make one of them, collective bargaining agreements with your partner who you hate, but you still want to make that action of love to, you feel me? You know what I'm talking about. And at least, I'm all alone. I can take care of myself. But I appreciate everything. And hey, just breaking character here. Thank you guys for watching my show. My name is Albert. It's been like almost 11 months now, and we're at 971 videos. Something about me is that 72 is one of my favorite numbers, so I'm looking forward to tomorrow and making our 972nd video. Link in the descriptions below. I always shout to the people that kind of inspire these talks, even if I don't agree with them. Like, I don't really agree with the link in the description, but I subscribe to her, I watch her videos. I think people have different, interesting opinions and insight and perspective on stuff, and I feel like it only helps make me a more well-rounded person. And I get it, other people don't like to be felt uncomfortable at work because other people are, wearing their bathing suits and stuff, but like, I just think that's more telling about that person than it is about the person that we say is asking or seeking attention. I mean, we don't know what it's like to feel and look that good. What would you do? You know what I mean? It's sort of like, it's easy to say what we would or wouldn't do when we wouldn't even be able to do that to begin with, right? It's like, yeah, like, let me go set off an office siren, right? I'd be the first person to be memeified, collectively laughed at, and just, maybe even, like, made cry, because it would be such a thing, I'd be like, oh, man, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm ugly. But it's sort of, I don't know. So, that's the way it is. This channel is doing great, for the record, and I am very happy about it. So, that's all that I got going on, other than trying to figure out what we're going to talk about every single night. But it's just getting easier, I feel like, instead of more difficult. I really enjoy the improv format. And moreover, I really enjoy making these videos because it's, something to do, and my entire life is dedicated and predicated on the idea that I'm trying to do as little as possible, and in most cases, nothing. So I'm going to continue to aspire, reaching for the stars, Help me reach for the stars, guys. If you're not already a subscriber, smash that subscribe button. My name's Albert. This is Vlogs About Nothing. Y'all have a great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.